Sorry.
So rude. We're back talking about Stranger Things. Finishing it up. They dropped the last 2 episodes of the season.
They did. Season 4 is officially finished.
Volume 2, as
Season
they're calling
4,
it.
Volume 2.
And we couldn't give you guys quite the impression we could last time because they only gave us 5-6 episodes? And didn't give us the rest? No, they gave us 7 episodes. And then they dropped the last 2, which was very weird for a show to do, but,
And they were also incredibly long, all the episodes.
Dear God.
It was definitely a lifetime investment.
There's no reason they had to do 2.5 hours. They could have just done 2 episodes.
It felt like you could have just split it.
Yeah.
Right.
Or at least given people their individual things,
There's one moment where Vecna said something like, "It's over," and then I hit down on my Xbox controller.
45 minutes
left? I
left?
saw 50 minutes left, and I was like, "It's not over. Don't even lie."
I'm like, when are they gonna...
I will say when they, in the first, what felt like the first 20 minutes of the second episode, they're marching in there, they're getting their plan underway and everything like that. And you look at it and there's still 2 hours and 15 minutes left. You're like, wow, obviously this isn't going to go well.
I feel like they could have split this into 3 episodes because honestly, I was more interested in the them destroying Vecna storyline.
Of course.
Than
Definitely.
I was even Hopper and them getting out of Russia. I was like, I really didn't care. That had already been done. They killed the monsters, but I feel like I was more not paying attention as much to those scenes where I was just like, Jesus Christ, get back to the kids. I want to see what's going on.
I got it. I just admit, though, I did love Murray with the flamethrower.
Same.
Murray was so good this season.
And Hop with the sword was pretty sick.
Yeah, where did the sword come from?
It was. I had to look this up because when he pulled out the sword, I was like, "What?"
Yeah.
But it was when they were fighting the Demogorgon. They gave them all medieval type weapons.
Oh,
remember?
okay.
Yeah. Yeah,
all right.
I was baffled by it.
Yeah, because I was like, oh.
And then I was like, wait, where did he get the sword? And they're like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
So,
I just forgot because it's been a month.
That's a hella sword, too.
That was actually the sword used in Conan the Barbarian with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
The actual sword?
Yeah, that was the sword swung by Arnold Schwarzenegger.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Is it weird that I just accepted the sword's presence and just rolled with it?
I was a little confused too. I took my eyes away from the screen for 2 seconds and saw a sword.
But I forgot. I didn't realize that, so I was like,
I figured it's meant to be there. Yeah. So don't question it.
It's just fate.
It's all just D&D going on.
What was up with the second to last episode? Ending with that slowed down version of Separate Ways.
I was just telling
Lewis
about this.
that actually.
To be fair, I love that song. It's one of my favorite songs. I think that would get me out of that area too, that song as well. But when I heard the do 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 do, I was like, I started singing it and Brian was looking at me like, what are you doing? And I was like, it's the song. And then they started someday.
I love Separate Ways.
It was such a good remix.
I didn't like the remix.
I didn't like that they cut out the 4-verse part where they were like, true love won't desert you. And they took out, I still love you. And I was like, hold on. No, you can't play the 4-part thing there without... I'm like... But I thought it was kind of a feel... I have an opposite feeling. I thought it was kind of epic going into it with the dark tone. Kind of like what they did in the last episode with... Kate Bush's song as they brought it back.
That I thought worked great, though.
That was great. I like their remixing of a lot of these big 80s hits going on. I was like, oh.
Yeah, I was digging the Metallica song.
The Master of Puppets?
Yeah, it was pretty epic.
That reminded me of 80s Italian horror movies. They'd always just have metal soundtracks for whatever reason. And Max going through the haunted house to it, I was like, hell yeah, this is so cool.
I was just like the bard when he gets serious. He was the bard.
Oh, okay.
He had the whole guitar thing. They're like, go! And he's just a distraction. I'm like, go, 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 go.
So what did you guys think of Vecna's lines to Max in the haunted house? Because I know you had a lot to say last episode about how
I think everything he says is comical. He's, don't get me wrong, I like him as a villain. I really do. I think he's badass. I think the makeup artist that works on him is phenomenal. Also, shout out to whoever that is.
I liked seeing the moving parts.
Yeah.
Of like I noticed
They really do a
that,
great job with it. But it's just the way he talks and everything he says. He's still like, and I think he said it like 3 more times. He's like he said it to like different
Max.
people. He's like, "What are you doing here, Nancy? Hey, Max, what are you doing here?"
It's like who invited you here?
It's like he's so surprised that they're here.
You weren't due for another day or so.
I think it took about 7 to 10 hours to put him in the suit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because the actor Jamie Campbell was talking. He's a sweetheart. I saw him interacting with the kids behind the scenes, and he was saying I think it took 7 to 10 hours, and they didn't want to do CGI, which I appreciate. They wanted to go like old fashioned, and like he had because he was talking about having to use the restroom. Like
those suits are awful.
He needed assistance, I think, with removing it. Like he's because also like with his hands, the prosthetics on his hands I couldn't do anything.
Makes sense.
I want hands like that. They're
One
cool.
hand was bigger, right? Did you guys notice that?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
That's his mind.
Yeah, the Freddy Krueger stuff going on.
Did anybody also notice? I kind of caught a quick glimpse of it. Like when 11 uses her powers, she uses like the full extent, so she uses 5 fingers. But when you watch Vecna or Henry do his thing, he uses 3 fingers just to lift her in the air, and he only uses the full extent when he extends all 5.
I didn't notice that.
I
thought
didn't
that
notice
was
that.
I noticed it because 11's doing her little thing, and Vecna's over here like, hold on, no, he was like this too. He didn't even have to use it for I guess the weaker side of his powers, like just lifting her. He just went like that occasionally. I'm like, wow, okay, powerful. But then he started using I noticed he put up 3 fingers, and he lifted her. And it wasn't until he was gonna mind break her or do some other things that he put 5 out. And I was like, oh, did Amanda catch a good? I was like, ooh.
There you go. Look at that.
Power building.
Paying attention to things.
Paying attention to things.
So there were issues for me though. I will say. I didn't really get the Demogorgon connection to Vecna. Killing the Demogorgons would just kill Vecna or make him weaker.
Well, it's all a hive mind thing, so I think that's the
if you kill other things, then you feel
what
it.
The other things feel.
Oh, it's as simple as that.
Yeah.
It's it's a symbiote relationship, hive mind symbiote.
Because when he was when she sends him into the Upside Down, he's not he sees the Demogorgon, so they already existed.
I think it's because the way I sort of understood that, because I was one of the few last episode where I really wanted to know more about the Upside Down because it is a major aspect of the story.
I think we'll definitely see that in the final season more though.
Hopefully.
Vecna's still alive, so.
Yeah, when Vecna is explaining about, sorry, I'm saying too much. When he is explaining about when he first got to the Upside Down, I did see the scene where he sees the Demogorgon running around. I kind of saw it as once he entered their minds and took control, maybe that's how he was able to develop that symbiotic relationship with them.
Yeah, I was just thinking of. For some reason, I'm thinking of a Pokemon, but there's
Which
one,
Pokemon?
Paris.
Oh.
Where it's a crab with a mushroom growing out of his head.
And its eyes are
And,
white
the
because of the
mushroom
parasitic.
is what controls him. And so, I think, because they are, kind of like a plant matter, right?
They are. They have these weird
Yeah.
tentacle vines
Yeah.
that stretch throughout.
So,
Vecna can control them to a certain extent.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like that. He might just be, a parasite that, like you said.
Okay.
But they said he's a general, so I think that gives him a little bit more control.
You see,
over things.
and that's another thing, and I don't know whether Lou, you had this, because I'm assuming that figure of cloud and smoke that takes the form of the Mind Flayer, like the traditional shape of the Mind Flayer, is that supposed to be the Mind Flayer? Or was that
The
just
thing that's in the cage that's flying around? And
it's
stuff
when Vecna is saying that he explored the Upside Down, he journeyed throughout its lands, and eventually he comes face to face with this smoke entity, which the formation that it takes reminded me of when you see the Mind Flayer, but it didn't look like the Mind Flayer. So I was a bit confused if that is indeed the Mind Flayer, so now the Mind Flayer works for Vecna, or is it still the case where the Mind Flayer is the one who has ultimate control and Vecna is just his general? Like, I was still confused as to that relationship.
There's that scene of Vecna as a kid, like, drawing the Mind Flayer.
Yeah, kind of like Will.
So
Oh, yes, okay.
I'm assuming he maybe, like, took control of that smoke monster thing, and, like, that's sort of the form he forced it into.
Okay.
That's my interpretation of it, but yeah.
Okay.
So Vecna put the Mind Flayer into that way.
That's what I think. Especially
that
since,
already
like, towards
helped
the
it
end,
to-
you have Will talking about, like, it was always him.
Yeah.
So I think, like, yeah,
Interesting. Okay.
the Mind Flayer's an extension of him.
Okay.
I think.
He's still the big bad guy.
Yeah.
The Mind Flayer seems to be the big bad guy. So,
No, Vecna.
Vecna. Oh,
Yeah.
you think Vecna's still?
Yes.
Well, he's still alive, and I mean they said like this is the first time they've lost. Like they did not beat anybody this time. In fact, it went from bad to worse.
Was anybody expecting a better fight scene with Eleven and Vecna? Because there was that big cut when she gets free, and then they just cut it, and then he's like, whoa, like falling backwards. I was expecting I was like 2.5 hours, and you didn't even give me like the cool psychic battle that I was hoping for.
Now, see, I was kind of just like, show me more Steve, Robin, and Nancy throwing
Exactly,
Molotovs at
same,
him.
yeah.
That was pretty epic.
That was great.
And Nancy hitting him with the sawed off.
Nancy
God.
has been forever. I'm not gonna lie. And this is gonna sound bad of me to say. I haven't really liked a lot of like female like lead characters in a while because I just don't like their motivations most of the time. But Nancy, I think, is one of the strongest female characters I've watched and the kinds of things I watch. I've really enjoyed Nancy's character. I think in the beginning she was more of like insufferable big sister, but then she became like worried big sister, like actually cares about her brother. Big sister.
I was on Nancy train since season
But I
one.
think Nancy just kept getting better and better and better, and the fact that like she sawed a gun.
I mean, especially this season, I was like, okay, I get they just lifted Nancy from Nightmare on Elm Street. And like the main character in the first one is named Nancy, similar hair and like similar level of just like fashion. Oh, this is just a highly competent horror protagonist. Like
she's just a
she
really
knows
good
what
character.
to do. Yeah.
And so Jonathan, the ending that Jonathan and Nancy are still a couple still was kind of a surprise.
That pretty hard.
Kind of a surprise for me, considering that like for a while, I'm not gonna lie, season 1 I didn't like Steve because of what he did, and I was like, that's a really dick move, man. I'm like, I actually don't like that. That was really horrible. And then like season 2, I was still like, I don't forget what you did. But then like he grew on me in season 3 more, where I was like, okay. All right. I was like, you're being forgiven. I wasn't ready to forgive him.
Nancy and Jonathan are like a couple for like another month.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
That's
what I think.
The most. Yeah, that was a oof.
Yeah, no. Steve,
Jonathan,
though
it's time to apply for college.
Jonathan wasn't even here this entire season. He wasn't here this entire season, whether he was high or trying to figure. He looks so confused this season because I'm not gonna lie, the scene with Will and Mike, where Will gives him the speech. I needed to give Will a hug, but you see like Jonathan looking into the back seat.
I gotta tell you,
he looked so confused. He was like,
I hated all of Will's speeches pretty much. I could not.
Will was pandering to him, to be fair, but
like the part where Elle is in the freezer. Everything okay?
It's like Mike. I'm not gonna lie. I hate Mike. He is the most selfish, little self-centered, little pain in the tush. To like, Will made a painting.
I really don't think Mike is that bad. I don't know.
I kind of going back to the speech that Will gives to Mike in the back of the van.
I couldn't stand it.
I mean, honestly, though, he says that Mike is the heart of the group, and
he doesn't do anything.
I feel like Mike. I don't think he ever was the heart of the group, in my opinion, and I think I think Will is very much the heart of the group, and I think Will sort of putting that role. I'm going to try to explain.
Will was the one that was like the dungeon master. He was the one that brought them together.
Yeah,
I think Dustin.
Mike was like their leader, though.
But
But
I don't think he's the heart. I think in many respects.
But to Will.
But I think that's why Will is saying that, because this is essentially his love confession in the back of the van.
But we did that already. That's my thing, I guess.
I know, but
Mike is stupid.
Will starts crying. He turns his head like barely. Mike looks over and then just looks back at the front.
Yeah, because Mike's a little punk.
No, I think it's because
whatever.
Mike, in many respects, his world revolves around Elle. Now, I understand you could say, well, they're in a relationship. I get it. But considering the larger issues at hand...
His only issue is that he can't say I love you.
Yeah, Mike is too narrowly focused. And Will, I think Will calls him the heart because he likes him. Because honestly, and it's not because I have an issue with Mike. I don't. Mike is not the heart of the group. I think the heart of the group has always been Will. And I think Will is selling himself short. And that's why I honestly wish
that Will gets
a season where he's not suffering, as Ben mentioned, one of our colleagues mentioned, he's not suffering, he's not living to make someone else happy, he's not pining after someone. I want him to be a fully realized character without having to sort of be connected to like his love for Mike, the whole confession.
Well, I think there's a lot more than the love of like his his emotions towards Mike. I think it's also a lot of confliction. He's lived with Elle at this point for a year now or so, I think it was, or a couple months at least. So he's grown to probably view Elle as like a sister, and not like gone from friend to sister, if not like very close friend at that point, because Joyce has taken her in like as family at this point. And with Jonathan out of the house, you've got two kids who are really weird to like probably the outside forces, and like Will understands what Elle's going through because he went through it himself, getting bullied. Not to say he's not still getting bullied, but he seemed to not be as much bullied as much in California than Elle was. And so I think there's a lot of like, he likes Mike and he does like Elle, like as a sister. And he likes that Mike is happy and Elle is happy, but that's kind of the sacrifice to, his own emotions. Hence why when they have their reunion again, it's like you see them hugging and he's just kind of like, he's like happy, but it's like kind of like an awkward happy. Like you're like, yay, kind of happy. Yeah. But,
I mean, I think I think it would be a mistake of the creators of the show to not give Will his Eddie moment.
I think he'll have a moment.
Minus the death, obviously.
Oh, he's gonna.
We'll get to that.
He's gonna. Die.
They have to. I mean, they're already setting it up where he's gonna play a big part in season 5, which is why that damn painting should have been something more significant.
I know that was
just fighting a stupid dragon.
But Joe did call it.
Right. Who was right?
He did.
A replay. Yeah. Actually, I hope it's their D&D characters.
He did call it.
Yeah. I wish that Ben would have been here because we were all. Although honestly, though, to a certain extent, I was right too because Mike is the soldier who's facing the dragon.
I think
so Mike kind of was the centerpiece.
Can I be real though? That painting kind of sucked.
Yeah, it was terrible. Like you've been working on that the whole time.
Yeah. When Mike was like, "This is amazing."
His Mind Flayer picture was better than what he like.
It's kind of rough.
I was like, after what Max drew, just from memory. And that's what Will does?
They were all crapping on Max's drawing.
He did better artwork when he was being controlled by the Upside Down.
You people are so harsh. I like that painting, but yeah.
It was cute, but
it's cute for like a middle school drawing.
Yeah, that's like what you upload on DeviantArt back in the day.
There's an episode of Family Guy where they
Art is subjective.
Where they switch to like the Beatles or something, and Ringo brings in like a piece of music, and he's like, hey, guys, and they're like, oh, this is great, Ringo, yeah, this is great. Then they just throw it out when he walks away.
This is going right up on the fridge.
That's basically what that painting was like. It's like, this is great. It's going on the top of the fridge.
Well, I mean, to be fair though to Will, people are so harsh. That I didn't expect that he was going to become Da Vinci. Like, and you know, it's like
I thought his
expected
drawings
something
in
much
the
better.
other seasons looked better.
Yeah.
That was my
Being
thing,
in
guys.
California gave him a lot of time to practice.
And they barely showed it. I would have liked like a couple of seconds close up on each character. Like show me Lucas, show me Dustin, show me all of them in there.
I got
You
some
know what
things
I
to say
mean?
about Lucas.
Oh, that fight scene with him and
the white
Jason was just
Jason.
ridiculous. I'm like, come on, guys. Like, you guys are high school kids. Like, how
I
many
really
punches
liked
can
the-
you really take?
this
It's like Muhammad Ali
Yeah.
versus Frazier. You know what I mean?
But I
Like,
was terrified in that moment, especially when after that dude who's walking his dog sees Erica, and I was like, oh my god, he's going to tell them he saw Erica, and I was also wondering where Erica was. I've really grown to like her character, but
I have loved her since
Yeah.
day one.
Erica
Her
rules.
sass
But
with
when she
no
yelled out
bounds.
crit hit, I was like, all right, nobody says that.
I
It's
really
not a
want-
thing people say.
yeah.
I want her to be the one that saves the world.
When-
Like, just like in the D&D campaign, I want her to come up there and just, like, smack the mind.
But yeah, no, I love Erica. I hope she gets a chance to like wear like a cool Lady Applejack outfit next season. I
Yeah,
think that'd be
but-
awesome.
but that-
Everyone's getting their
Yeah,
metaphor
I
regalia.
want everyone in their D&D
Yeah.
guys is go for it.
But it was terrifying. It was a terrifying moment, especially when Jason's in the car and he goes, I see her, and the way his eyes look almost as if he's possessed.
You know, they did the bad lieutenant shot for when he was holding the gun at Lucas. I was like, whoa.
But it was a terrifying, like that entire sequence when Erica's being chased by the other guy, when she's
Yeah.
tackled. I felt the fear, like I was like, oh my God, because you don't know what these two are going to do. And then when he confronts Lucas, and who had the issue with the fight scene?
oh yeah, it was
Okay.
it was ridiculous. It was over the top. Like he could have just held him down or something like that. I don't know. There's the one shot where you're seeing Max and you just see Lucas in the background and Jason is just like uppercutting him in the stomach the entire. I'm like, all right, guys.
I
Like,
did like Lucas's transformation, though. I like.
oh, I love
Yeah, no,
Lucas.
Lucas-
I
he
just
was a nerd.
I just
He
thought
went
the
from-
fight scene was
Lucas
just ridiculous.
ruled this season.
Lucas was
Yeah.
really great with his own, like, trying to figure out who he was and who he wanted to be instead of being the nerd. He didn't want to be bullied anymore, so he joined, like, the jocks and the popular guys, only to find out that being so popular really isn't what it's meant to be if all you're going to do is be in a cult your entire life, and that these people think that they're righteous and they're not good. And I like that. I loved him and Max. I've always thought they were like a great couple. They're so cute when they flirt. It's some of the cutest stuff I've ever seen. It's stupid, awkward, and just kind of silly. The kind of flirting that I would expect to see.
Yeah, I thought that when
Yes.
they were drawing to each
Yeah,
other,
that was
really
very
nice.
that was the best.
They're
Hi.
like cute flirting. The two of them are very good at it. Like Max and Elle flirting was almost like
It felt
cringy
like
to me.
their relationship was very natural,
Yeah,
and I
definitely,
really
yeah.
absolutely loved it. Versus like Mike and Elle, which he even described it. He's like, it wasn't destiny. I'm like, yes, it was. It was written that way. But I felt like theirs had like this nice little progression
Yeah.
that like took its time to develop. And I love the way that their smiles feel so natural when they're like doing the like flirt talks. It's
I
super
agree.
cute.
I agree. I've always loved Lucas
Max.
and Max. Max was a character. She eventually grew on me. Like I really loved her this season.
Redhead representation.
But going back to the relationships, and I know I've probably mentioned this before. I don't really understand the relationship between Nancy and Jonathan. I think it's one purely on like lust. There might be some liking, but I don't really see there being this deep love.
It was supposed to be the opposite between like her, like Steve and Jonathan. Steve was like the quiet, like, nice kid. like, you know, the misunderstood kid.
Jonathan.
Sorry. Jonathan was the misunderstood kid who was actually really nice once you get to know him. But then you have Steve, who's kind of a like popular guy at school at the time. So it made sense that she, like, you know, realized Steve wasn't cool in the first season. Like, wow, he's kind of a jerk to go after Jonathan.
Another brutal moment when Jonathan, like, made a crack about her having to hang out with Steve, and Nancy was like, he's actually really changed. And I was like, oh.
That actually felt really nice.
Jonathan's face is like, oh, that's it.
He's like, competition.
Jonathan knows. He's just like, it's over.
But even, like, what attracted, like, the whole thing
Giving it a month.
of what attracted Nancy to Steve, like, I'm not saying that, okay, some people...
Because they look good.
Well, I understand that, but there has to be more. And honestly, with Steve, I think on Steve's part, definitely. I think with Steve, he's always been in love with Nancy. I don't see Nancy being in love with Steve. I don't really see her.
No, I saw that.
Caring
Nancy's
for.
kind of good on her own.
I don't know. Like, I don't see her caring for Jonathan. Like, I'd rather just see her single than sort of the writers pushing a romance that we're supposed to believe. And frankly, I don't.
Also, Steve wants 6 kids. That's a commitment. I don't think.
She basically is single though. Like I know she's with Jonathan, but they really haven't been together. They're not on the same page. They don't communicate.
Because their relationship was not founded on something substantial.
I think it was also because of shame.
Well, teenagers
I think shame. Shame played a big part in that because they were supposed to go to the same college together.
Shame?
Remember at the end? Shame.
Oh, okay.
Shame, not Shane.
I was like,
Shame. I don't know. Some random guy. Shame with an M. I think a lot of shame went into him, and that's why he got kind of absorbed in the weed and kind of distractions.
Yeah.
Because they were supposed to go to the same college, and at the end of the season, she even asked, "Did you ever get that acceptance letter?" And he said,
right.
No, but we know he got it,
yeah.
and that he didn't get accepted to it.
She was also she was willing to go with him wherever he could get in too, and he just couldn't get his act together. Like, I don't have any sympathy for him.
Because he has low self-esteem.
You had Nancy,
but he has
lucky duck.
But he doesn't. I think the issue with Jonathan too is that he, just like Will, he doesn't believe he ultimately deserves Nancy. Like, his whole conversation with
to be fair. She's too good for him.
But honestly, that's the thing with Nancy. Okay, fine. Maybe this is going on another topic, but Nancy, the first 2 seasons, she was very much a character where I could understand why anyone would want to be with her. Looks aside, I'm not talking about looks. I'm talking about just personality in general. I can understand why these 2 guys were fighting over this girl. 4th season, I can kind of see it now because I think 3rd and 4th, she really becomes more than, as Amanda said, the annoying older sister. That she becomes more fully realized.
Everybody kind of had their development.
But prior to that, I don't see it. And
you just said in season 1 and 2 you could see it.
No.
Season 4 you could see it.
No, I didn't say that. I said season 1 and 2, I could not understand the attraction that Jonathan and Steve, outside of her physical,
hot.
But there has to.
She's smart.
But there has to be more than. Okay, fine. She's smart.
Got guns in her bedroom.
But okay, so she's smart and attractive. Okay,
she's
but first season Nancy, she's flitting between these 2 guys because it's like, oh, Steve, I'll try him out. Nah.
I don't think it was a tryout.
Well,
I think she was dating Steve, and then Steve became a jerk after he saw her hanging out with Jonathan, and it wasn't a crush thing yet.
But I didn't see her having any real connection or, like, what was the motivation behind dating Steve other than she needed to break out of her good girl persona? I need to try something different. There was no substantial reason.
They're teenagers.
It doesn't.
The 80s.
But it does matter.
I think what they're
it doesn't. If you're right,
teenagers just date each other because they're attracted.
That's kind of how relationships.
And then they've all grown.
I think her and Steve in season 1 intentionally were not a good couple.
Yeah,
but neither is she and Jonathan. They're not a good couple.
We didn't
and they're
know
not a
that
good couple
yet.
now. I think,
they never have been.
I think you're right.
But now they're going for Steve's grown up and changed a lot.
Yeah,
and
he's a different person.
It seems like maybe they can work things out now.
He wants 6 kids.
He deserves better. He doesn't deserve Nancy. Nancy doesn't deserve him. He deserves someone better.
6 kids
Find
in a
someone
Winnebago.
else.
Who's better than Nancy?
If Robin
no one's
weren't
better than
gay, I
Nancy,
would
no
say
one's better
go
than
with
Steve.
Robin.
I honestly thought I felt that too with Robin and Steve. I think they make the best friends, but I feel like in the beginning when we first met them, it felt very like they have a very playful nature and they mesh really well together. But Robin's got other plans. And I'm kind of glad Robin got to speak to the girl. Did anybody get Molly Ringwald vibes from the girl that she was hanging out with?
Especially in the war store. Is that all it's called? Is the war store?
The war zone.
The war zone. Okay.
First off,
like I think she was wearing like the exact thing that she was wearing in one of those movies, like the hat.
That's what I thought. She had the hair, she had the face, she had the very demeanor of it. I was like, ooh, I'm getting Breakfast Club.
That's the same actress that was the Netflix show Anne with an E. She played Anne of Green Gables. That was that actress.
Redhead representation.
I mean, I don't mean to sound like I'm being argumentative. It's just that
but it's okay. That's the whole point of this.
But I don't know.
Argument away.
I don't know.
Lewis is like, I want to have an argument. Yeah. He's like, I want to get violent. Flip desks.
But I understand that
look at the violence in his eyes.
That teenagers can be fickle-natured. But I'm saying though, when you have a show where you have teenagers making these life and death decisions, they're like, you can't just hear, oh, they're teenagers. You got to give me a bit more, especially since this isn't like a typical teen drama where okay, fine, I expect the stupidity. But
that's the human element of the show.
I don't buy that. But
honestly, I find like the stuff between Steve and Nancy to be more interesting than the monsters most of the time.
Yeah.
But
they have so much chemistry. Yeah. It's like it's infectious to watch.
Maybe I haven't gotten over my Nancy allergy.
Just like Lucas and Max, like they steal scenes when they're together.
I'm so upset.
Robin steals scenes.
I know. That's why I love Robin. Like, and I understand she and Steve are never ever getting back or getting together.
I love them as friends.
They're just bros.
I think they're the third contender.
No,
Robin and Nancy.
Do you think?
I gotta tell you, they have great chemistry too. The two of them play off each other.
You have like the smart girl, and then you have the like common sense kind of girl, and they kind of go really hand in hand.
So, do you want to make a bet who's going to end up together in the 5th season? So you think Robin and Nancy?
No, I wish. No, that's a ship that'll never sail.
But maybe it could.
I just think that the two of them play off each other very well.
Yeah, they are really good. Yeah.
And the show should use them more.
They should be a solid team.
I love them when they went to go see the psychiatrist together. Like that scene was fantastic.
Investigations.
Yeah,
that's the
breaking into places illegally.
I thought
they should do that.
Thought it was really funny when it's like at the end when like it's the gang's back together and then Argyle's just there. Yeah. I was like
picking mushrooms.
He's just here. That rules.
But I think he really earned his stripes in the last episode where like he's measuring Elle and he goes, I think it could work. And he's like the
best comic relief of this show. I'm not gonna lie. If you call the number on the side of the van too, apparently you actually get they really did their work on this season.
I heard about that, yeah.
I was tempted, but it was like 2:00 in the morning. I was like, I'm not going to call this number at 2:00 in the morning.
Would Argyle answer?
He does, apparently.
He does. Yeah. It's the Pizza Boy phone number.
Yeah.
So you can call
it. It's like a voicemail thing, yeah.
Also,
cool.
I love that the other pizza boy, like the pizza boy, like guy is just Argyle to like another one.
Just Argyle in a
just a bunch
state.
of high surfer guys.
This whole restaurant chain employs nothing but.
Yo, guy, I gotta be out of here. I gotta be at Taco Bell in like 10 minutes. He's like, no worries, my dude.
But I love how like chill he is and how he's making a pizza while they're all scrambling to set up the deprivation.
He knows that there's a girl with psychic powers that could probably blow his brains, and they're trying to save the world from some big evil. Everyone's stressed and freaking out. He's over here just like, no, bro, I got you. Not it.
I did like when Elle gets into Max's mind, and then when she comes up to her, Max is like, "How'd you get here?" And she's like, "Oh, I piggybacked from a pizza freezer, or something, from a frozen fridge or something like that." And I'm like, that's like the funniest line of the show. And no one has any idea what you're talking about when you said that.
But that's that was within character, because I figured that's something Elle would actually say. Like that's how. And I also liked how Max, which is a very Dream Warriors thing, Joe mentioned the connection with the Dream Warriors, how she's able to take control of her mind at that point, and she brings herself to the ball dance or whatever. I thought that was really cool. Because it makes sense because he's all
It's our
about
happiest memory.
controlling your mind if you're able to sort of assert control. And Max mentioned something similar where it's my
her
mind,
Patronus.
like I should be able
It's her Patronus.
Harry Potter references. I should be able to control it. There were a lot of great moments. Can we talk about Eddie?
Yeah, we
Because-
have
Yo,
to.
Eddie was the man, and I was like, oh, I wanted him to survive so bad, but I actually like teared up, and I was like,
It was
I'm not
very
gonna
emotional.
cry. I'm not gonna
Last
cry.
half hour of that show was really emotional.
That got spoiled for me online. Like day one,
Oh.
June 1st came out, like midnight came, and people were like, Eddie's dead. And I'm like, why? They didn't wait 2 weeks to let me watch it.
I kind of spoiled that because I looked up who died in season
guys-
4.
Why would you
Why
spoil
do you guys do
that
this
for
to yourselves?
yourselves?
Because a part of me already knew he was gonna die. Like they don't have
I didn't go looking.
the guts to kill off a major character unless they do it in season 5. So I knew they were gonna kill off one of the awesome characters, which was Eddie. I knew. I was like, they're gonna kill him. You can't get rid of Nancy.
No, you can't get rid of it.
Can't get rid
A
of
lot of
Nancy.
people thought Steve was gonna like kick
I-
the butt.
I
heard that
Honestly,
too.
and I think he's gonna die in the next
If
season.
they do it, I would applaud them because that's a move I think that most people wouldn't expect of them. I would be sad, like even with Max.
I cried.
I feel like
Max.
she should have died, not because I dislike Max, but because it would have.
That's kind of one of my questions, because she was dead. She died for a minute.
Yeah.
And then Elle touches her, so Elle can bring people back to life.
So like as we said, I think it was hinted when she was with Brenner again, when Papa got her, and he wanted to keep her because he wanted to expand her potential. I think he knew she had the ability to do much more, and I thought that's where the season was gonna go. Was we were gonna see her push past her limits and like give us a new ability. And if that's the new ability, I don't know what the repercussions. Because normally when I see like someone bringing someone back to life, it's either like a give or take. Like, what did she lose to do that, or is she just omnipotent at this? Like,
And
powerful.
did she bring her back to life to just have her lay in a coma?
Or is that all
Because
she
she-
could
she
muster
would-
at this point?
If she was out, if she wasn't getting oxygen to her brain for a minute, like you're done. Like,
I wonder
you
if she
can't
could go into her
survive.
mind and speak with her. Is what I want to know if she could do
Tell her
that.
to wake up.
But
Girl, wake up! I don't know, because she's blind and she got all her limbs broke.
that's what I'm saying because Lucas hints, which I don't know
my
if they're
girl
going to
so
continue with this, that she may never wake up. So my point is, okay, fine. If Max, for the most part of maybe season 5, will be out of commission, what's really the point? I think it would have been more impactful. I'm not saying I would have been sad, but I think it would have had more impact if she had passed. And then I would have said, okay, they're willing to go there. They're not just going to dispose of characters that are awesome.
Oh dear God.
Did it die?
Ooh.
No battery power remains.
Well, I thought it was actually kind of cute too that the book Lucas is reading, because I said this season kind of felt like a Stephen King novel.
Was
Or
it The Stand?
No, it's The Talisman, which was a Stephen King and Peter Straub book that was written where someone goes through like parallel medieval universes. And I think that's really interesting.
Have you ever read it?
I haven't read it. I know it's on my list of like Stephen King books to read.
Oh, okay. So that's what he was reading. Okay.
He was reading it to her because she's blind. Because she wasn't sure she'd be able to see again, and then she had all her limbs.
But could she hear? No,
She
she's
could
in a
probably
coma.
hear.
Oh.
People in a coma. It said that you can talk to people in a coma,
Okay.
and they'll hear you. They just can't do anything. They can't
Okay.
see. They can't interact. That's what a
Okay.
coma. But they can. But they said it's good for you to speak to people in a coma because
Okay.
it helps them. Like they know what's going on. That's why you hear so many
Okay.
horror stories about people in a coma.
So I mean, there has to be a reason she's still alive. Like they're not just gonna be like, she's not just gonna like wake up at the end of it. Maybe once like if at the end of season 5 they destroy Vecna, destroy the Mind Flayer, and then Max just wakes up from it, I'll be a little disappointed. Like there has to be a reason. Like something like Vecna's in there right now. Like that's where he's hiding out, maybe in her head or something.
Well,
there has to be.
Oh, this was their possible hinting because the Duffer Brothers have apparently set up their own production company called Upside Down Pictures. They're announcing a Stranger Things spin-off and stage play. They're also
Spin-off.
doing another series thing I'm not going to talk about on this podcast right now because I'll get angry. And they're also doing an
Why?
adaptation.
What's the other thing?
They're doing a Death Note live action series.
Oh.
I'm not ready. And they're also doing a series adaptation of Stephen King's The Talisman, which makes sense why Lucas is reading it to her in the... That's kind of a weird little... It's like, hey guys,
Yeah.
here it is.
Little nugget for you.
Hey, a little nugget for you.
So that's interesting. A Stranger Things spin-off.
They said it wouldn't be with any current characters.
That would be
Oh,
nice.
man.
Can the show just
Who-
be about Mike's dad?
Who was the one that said, wasn't it, maybe you or Ben was just like, they have to do a Robin Steve spin-off where they just go from job to job. And it's more
That's
of,
what I
it just
want.
becomes a comedy.
Yeah,
it was
I like
Ben.
that.
Yeah.
I just want Clerks with Robin and Steve.
Yeah. Yeah.
By the way,
I would watch that.
That Clerks 3 trailer was some depressing stuff.
I didn't know they were doing
It
it.
is-
They just dropped it yesterday.
is-
Yeah.
Sad.
Depressing how?
It's
Randall
It's about
basically-
them making Clerks 1.
Randall is
it's
basically,
just
I think he gets diagnosed with a cancer or something, or he's got a year to live or something like that. So he decides he wants to make a
Just-
movie.
Kevin Smith, you can do other things.
Yeah.
Please, man. Please.
That's a shame.
Anyways, so I wanna briefly bring up Mike's dad. MVP still. The town got cracked. Everyone's freaking out. There's relief. The mom is like packing things away,
Sitting on
and
the
he
couch.
is still just sitting on the couch saying, "Oh, they're calling this a whatever now." And I'm like, he is the most chill person.
I like that he was accidentally right about it because he was just like, the news, it's no better than the tabloids.
He still watches it.
Where you go?
But did you have anything about like Eddie's moment
Oh,
that
sorry,
you?
yes.
No, I didn't mean.
Let's
Yeah,
go
that's
to
what we're
Eddie's
talking
moment. Everyone's talking about Eddie's moment.
Eddie. Props to Ben, even though he's not here. He called it. Eddie had his
Hero moment. He became a
redemption hero moment. I thought it would have been. I kind of when Ben was talking about him on playing the guitar and saving Nancy and stuff like that, I got chills. So when that started happening, when he started playing guitar, I was like, that's great. And then I thought he kind of died a little unceremoniously, but he died saving Dustin, so it was almost it felt right. I thought he was great, and honestly, I think Eddie was probably one of the best parts of the season. He was really great.
He was so much fun as a character. I don't think he needed even a redemption kind of thing. I think he was stuck in
he
it.
did.
I think a personal redemption. It's not so much he did anything wrong
Right.
to warrant a redemption, but maybe more in his character
wanna
because he
run-
couldn't do anything for Chrissy when she died, and I think he kind of hid himself away to a certain extent, even though he was all like, wah, and everything. Loved him. When he picked up the guitar, I automatically knew what scene I was getting into because I had skipped everybody on Facebook and everyone who had tried to show that scene. I was like, nope, not watching it. I'm going to leave it alone. Stop putting it on there. So I waited. He looked like a real rock star to me.
Yeah.
It was like those old music videos where you'd have them in like volcanoes and magma and hell somewhere and the bats. I'm just like, this is like an ode to some of these classic heavy metal album covers too. And I just absolutely loved everything about him. He was so great.
One of the things one of our coworkers brought up is what's the guitar plugged into?
I think they plugged it into an amp.
They plugged it into an
right?
amp, okay, but the amp needs power. What is there electricity in the Upside Down?
We don't know much about the Upside Down to
since
really
we're
judge
suspending
that.
disbelief on how teenagers should behave, let's just say, for the sake of argument, electricity is in the Upside
Maybe
Down.
all that red glowy shit is.
Where they I didn't see them hooking up any wires or anything. Is all I'm
I
saying.
heard the amp go on where he plugged into the amp. You hear the ear.
Well, yeah, I mean,
noise.
there was
It's magic.
There was power somehow.
It's magic. It's the
magic.
Upside Down. Anything's possible, clearly.
Magic.
So
Except for finding Nancy's guns because it takes place years ago.
such a great scene.
It's like, where are my guns? And I'm like, where are your guns?
Someone showed a picture of Eddie. He actually has bats tattooed on his arm.
Oh yeah.
So they were saying a shadow.
hot.
Yeah. But they were saying more of as a foreshadowing of the fact that he gets killed by the bats.
Oh.
But honestly, them playing the Kate Bush, no, I'm sorry, not Kate Bush, the Moby song, which is so depressing when you listen to the lyrics, and him telling Dustin that he has to be the one that protects people now. I was like, oh my God.
Dustin's been there every season doing a majority of the work, like as far as the kids group is concerned. He literally is like, my girlfriend helped you. It was my girlfriend, inadvertently my thing. He's over here like hacking computers,
Because
using AIM.
Because he is truly the real perceptive one of the group.
He's the heart of the group.
Yeah, if you don't want to give it to Will, I'll give it to Dustin, because from season 1, Dustin can read people. He knows when someone
Dustin's
needs, okay,
smart.
we need to sort of break apart for a bit. He knows when to bring people together. He's very empathic and he's very intuitive. He can read the situation perfectly. Yeah, and that's why he's one of my favorite characters, and he's an amazing character, and I'm just so happy that they finally all got together. I'm happy that Jonathan finally had something to do in the last episode where he was helping Elle build her chamber.
I was gonna be like, what did he do?
Yeah, this is what
He poured the salt.
He stirred the salt.
Good job, Jonathan.
Good job. You didn't support your brother in the car. You just kind of looked confused.
You sat there while your brother cried.
No, I thought
Argyle found.
but I
the
thought he
base.
was
You did
perceptive
it.
because did no one like that beautiful conversation that he has with Will while they're stirring
That
the
was like
salt?
just one moment of the entire show is that he's like, I accept you, bro, and I'm like,
But he
good
didn't even
job.
say that. Like I was hoping he was going to say that. All he said was, we don't talk anymore. If you want to talk, I'm here. That's all he said.
He used to always
Why
be
did you
there.
make him Pauly Shore?
Yeah.
But I also think it's because like I know like the whole thing about whether Will is gay or not. And at this point, I want to say, he is, but with the showrunners, because based on what the Duffer Brothers have said, from what the actor Noah, who plays Will, has said, are they going to be open about it? Like, I know they're making the whole argument that in the 80s...
But do they really have to?
But the problem is, though, is that when you have all these fans, because they're making the argument, well, in the 80s, no one would have said anything, which I understand. And then Noah says, well... I wanted to be like, do we have to label? But the whole point, though, is that if you're teasing out that this character is gay, with Robin, she was upfront. She had her coming out moment. No big deal was made of it, and they just went forward.
But she only told Steve.
But I'm pretty, okay, fine. But she still had her coming out moment. If Steve is the one person who said, okay, I can trust you, and she was even taking a risk with Steve. Mm-hmm. I'm sure the others, she could come out, okay, fine. So she doesn't have to come out to everyone. But the problem with Will is that you're teasing it. Is he not? And then to have the stupidity of like, well, in the 80s, like, listen, he either is or he isn't. You're either going to be open about it, even if he just...
Or maybe he needs time to discover exactly what he's feeling.
I think they're pretty open about it by now.
No,
I
because...
feel like you got to be kind of... Like, I don't know. I feel like they spell it out pretty
No, but there are still fans that
are saying,
saying like, no,
fans
he's just...
want him to come out. Fans want him to just come out and say he's gay.
And I tend to agree with you a little bit, because if the Duffer Brothers did say that about, it's the 80s and you have to understand they wouldn't do that and stuff like that, but you guys, they already did that with Robin, so there's no excuse for them to not do it with another character.
But I didn't see anything from the Duffers about that.
Yeah, me neither.
I was the reason because yes, I understand Robin came out to just Steve, but the point is she came out. There's no ambiguity. Okay, fine. She likes chicks. Hopefully, she and her fellow bandmate can make a love connection. Awesome.
But she never told the band chick.
I know, but maybe she will have that moment because.
But I'm agreeing with you
because the issue with this story, and I know a lot of people are saying how it's almost like the whole queer baiting thing. Because listen, I understand in the 80s you're not going to have a school announcement saying I'm gay. Woohoo! I understand. That wasn't that time. But he could at least have a coming out moment, maybe to even Jonathan.
He's not ready yet.
Okay, fine, but
he had a lot of stuff going for him emotionally this season. It's like, he's talking about how Will's the heart of the group.
Okay, fine. So maybe it's season 5. Maybe it's season 5 he'll have his coming out moment.
That's what we're saying. There might be a chance where he might say something. Maybe he'll be on his deathbed.
I know, but
tell Mike how he felt. I don't know.
But the thing with the Duffer Brothers, what angers me is that, because I read it, the Duffers have said this, what Noah, the actor, has said, it's like, that's stupid, where we don't want to label it. he may be not. It's like,
but wouldn't it feel more natural if we didn't have it spelled out for
Yeah,
us?
and
Because that's what I don't like about.
He could just.
Yes.
Maybe he just has feelings for Mike. Maybe he's not.
I know, but it could be. But the
You
problem
know.
with that is that they're fans. What I'm arguing from a fan standpoint, or fans who are within the gay community, they're saying, you're sort of playing this. No, that's why when I was
So
telling
they want it spelled out for them. They don't want it to be like something that's more of a because they're children.
Maybe I'm not expressing what I'm
children.
trying to say right. Maybe that's what the issue is. Maybe I'm saying things wrong. For me, I view him as being
You want
gay.
him to be like loud and proud.
No, not.
Is what it sounds like.
No, not. That's not what I'm trying to say. Okay, never mind. No, because
No, it's fine. It's
no,
just,
I'm not
like,
expecting him to wave the flag when he goes to school, or even that's not what I'm expecting.
But you want him to come out to his friends.
I would kind of expect at a certain point maybe that would happen, because with a lot of the fans there still is that ambiguity. There are people that believe, no, he's just sensitive. He's not gay. There are people that he is gay, and people are like, well, isn't it obvious? But if it were obvious, you wouldn't have this ambiguity within the fandom itself.
But maybe there needs to be ambiguity because of the fact as Lewis said, the only person he might like right now is
Yeah, maybe
Mike,
he doesn't even
and
know.
maybe he doesn't
Maybe
know
it was
yet.
like,
Maybe he's
what
not
was the
sure
guy's name
what label
from
to put it.
Heartstopper? He didn't know right away.
And he didn't want to put a label on it until he knew.
Yeah.
It's like, there's different versions of it.
I
He
can
might-
say with confidence, he is in love with Mike. That's all I can say.
I feel like you have to be near illiterate to be like, no, Will
it
is straight.
seemed-
Yeah.
it seemed
Like,
that's
I
the
don't know.
direction they were
like,
going in.
Yeah.
But for a generation that doesn't like putting labels on things, I think it helps better with character building if things aren't spelt out, especially for a young child who's trying to figure out their identity. When the only person they have to, identify with is the one person they have a crush on, and not looking at all the other things and being like, oh, he could be gay, he could be bi, he could just also be pansexual, he could be a lot of other things and not know it.
Look at his the people he has to look up to. Jonathan and Joyce. They are not
Hopper,
the best role models. Hopper is also not the best role model.
But he did lose weight.
So he did.
They like to shove that one in there in the last
Yeah.
episode, like, wow, you're not fat anymore. And I'm like, wow, all right.
he
Because
looked
I
way
think-
better last season.
Because I think the actor had a
Really?
Dad bod.
because
All right.
because I think he was also the actor. I think may have had some insecurities about his weight. I think that was part of it too. I think the actor himself. I mean, it kind of makes sense considering what
So
his.
in order to lose weight, I have to go to Russia and get imprisoned and eat moldy bread.
That'll
beforehand.
probably do it. Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, like I said,
I
I
got a
don't.
wedding next year. Come on.
Yeah, like I said, going back to Will, I'm not trying to force a coming out narrative. I know that's not my point. What I'm trying to say is just that when you read about it, there is a lot of expectations that at least there would be some admittance to the fact maybe he's questioning, maybe he doesn't.
People don't like, I'm not going to lie, fans
know.
don't like this whole, beating around the bush thing and letting characters progress. They want to know now, or they're not happy with it. And it's kind of silly, especially when there's another
Fans are
season
annoying.
coming to kind of... I've seen that
I want fandoms.
Fandoms are sometimes some of the worst
Mistake.
things.
Yeah.
It's fun when you start and you're like, oh, people have similar interests, but when you've been in them long enough and you see a lot of people who are like, I'm upset because I don't know what's going on. I'm like, maybe that's the point, is to make you feel like how the character's feeling. I'm like, he doesn't know, so why should we know?
I think it's also.
And so people aren't willing to let the character progress in a natural way.
Yeah.
Lou,
So...
do you ever read Euphoria takes? They're insane. People act like Sam Levinson is like a wizard who makes these characters' lives hell, and it's like they're not real people.
Yeah.
He's not hurting Cassie because she's not a real person.
I'm into that. I like making my characters hurt.
I mean, from my standpoint, I'm not terribly like Will. I just want him to be happy.
Exactly, he needs a hug. I
Yeah.
wanted to hug that. I was like, my boy over here needs a
Yeah,
hug.
I think it's like if you compare it
Jonathan,
to
hug your brother.
if you were part of the supernatural fandom, there was a lot of thing with Castiel and Dean.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and the issue, I mean, like I said, I wasn't invested in the ship, but what I was arguing was that there were fans that were, because the writers would play the game,
The fan
he
fictions
could
are
be,
still prolific.
he could be not. Is he? Is he not? And then the writers would do these things, and I'm saying, okay, fine. Either you don't want him to, that's fine. You know, but when you're playing the game, when you're teasing with the fan, like...
But that's what makes fans keep coming
the
back
thing
for
is, like,
more,
I
is when you tease.
I don't read the Will stuff as teasing. It seems pretty straight up.
Yeah, it's just
he
just
hasn't said it
Exactly.
out loud.
So-
Take time, and they don't need to say it right away.
Me personally, it is obvious, but I'm saying that there are elements of the fandom where for them, it's like you're saying it could be read either way. So I'm saying that there are people that see ambiguity in his looks, in his actions. So I'm just saying that I'm just throwing it out there.
Art is subjective.
Just throwing it out there.
Read things as you will, but don't get angry when people don't write something the way you want it to be written.
Yeah.
Except me, I'm angry all the time.
I'm just
and
throwing
I
it out
think
there.
I haven't heard the actor or the Duffer Brothers say anything, but I would think that if the reason that they wouldn't say anything was because it hasn't happened in the show yet, so they're trying not to spoil anything.
Spoil their show.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Well,
So, like,
Make the kids write their fan fictions and get done with it.
yeah, you know, when it does happen, you know, they want it to happen on screen for the first time. They don't want it to happen through the media.
Also, I think they did a very good job of making Max bringing Billy back. I was very excited about that. Him coming through the door, I was just very happy to see Billy again. I'm a big Billy stan.
Was these last 2 episodes, was Joyce more annoying than she was in the first volume? To me,
First
she
off,
was like,
they're trying to get out of Russia and they're
I
going to
thought
start
she was
making
less
out.
annoying.
yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know. For some reason, like every time she spoke, except the moment with her and Hopper, when they're like changing, I was like,
I thought that was so annoying because I was like,
oh,
yo, Murray and Yuri are outside trying to deal, or Murray and the other guy are trying to deal with this guy who's like, you know, jerking them around. Like, haha, it's making a lot of noise. And they're trying to deal with this guy, and they're inside changing, and then they start having a makeout session. I'm like, everybody's trying to get out of Russia, and your kids are gonna die. Why?
So, like, I found the TikTok was deleted, but the actor actually responded to it.
Huh.
So he said, the caption was incredibly disappointing that this is the route they decided to take with Will's sexuality. It's just so vile that everything has to be a metaphor.
That's what the character.
Yeah,
the
I'm
actor
so
said?
no. This was the TikTok. I'm so tired of vague coming out scenes in media that simply should have had confirmation to begin with. Will deserved to have his coming out scene with Jonathan. Will deserved to explain his painting to Mike without it being twisted into some sort of plot device for a straight couple. So
I don't think
that
that's
was
the case.
the
That
TikTok.
person is taking things to an extreme, I feel like.
So Noah
because
said-
they don't really understand that, one, this is
Well-
this is the 80s.
Well, that's
and two,
when- yeah.
he's a child. And during the time that he's in, they're just starting high school, right? They're like freshmen in high school, aren't they? Or were they
I think
like
they are freshmen.
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
like freshmen in high school?
Freshman.
well,
They're like freshmen in high school.
Well, that's
and
what
high
Noah
school,
wrote. Who can
yeah, it's like
legally
high school
drink.
is like one of the times in which you start trying to figure your identity out and you start experimenting with things. And sometimes, like, you know, you don't know what you want and you don't know how people are always going to react. And it's like you can't kind of compare the time of today and how people come out now, since it's more widely acceptable.
Yeah.
For someone to just say I'm gay versus someone in the 80s when it was still, you would still give, and if you saw those jocks and how they treated some guy who was part of the Satanic Panic, think about what would have happened to him if he had come out.
Well, Noah responding goes, first of all, it's the 80s, and the kid's a freshman in high school. Let them slowly develop the plot, and when he does come out, it will be really special and real.
That's what I
So
think.
anyway,
It's
so
like, if
that
he
was my
just
point
gonna
in
come
bringing
out
it
to
up.
I think, yes, he could have come out to Jonathan, but Jonathan and him hadn't talked, as they said.
I just like.
That was
I feel like people are acting like it's some big mystery, but it's just like I don't know. It's pretty.
I don't think it's
pretty
like
damn
they wanted,
clear. It's like on Mad Men, like Sal.
The moment you see him, you know.
Yeah,
and he never comes out.
Yeah, he doesn't come out directly until like season 3, but like before that, you know pretty clearly, like, Sal's gay, and like that's part of his character. They don't have to state it outright, but like through how it's shot, how it's filmed.
So that was my point.
Who is this TikTok person?
Who cares? It got taken down.
No. That's not what I mean. Let me finish.
I don't know.
Who is this TikTok person to say when and how somebody should come out?
I think that's why I'm saying you can't compare. Like, yes, this is a time period show.
No, I get it. I
understand.
you can't. I'm just saying,
like, the person is so extreme on this view.
Yeah, why are they?
I think she's part of the
extreme.
This extreme group
TikTok's
of people
the worst.
who
Social media is the worst.
It really
Get off my lawn.
Give me my Nerf guns.
No, it's just that's the only reason why I brought it up, because I don't want to be misunderstood that you have to come out. No one has to do anything. That's not why I was bringing it up. I just think that.
And what might be easy for one person isn't easy for another one, especially when you've been friends with people that long and you're still trying to figure yourself out. Why put yourself on a false label when you don't know? Because I've seen that happen. I've seen that backfire 100 times, where people claim to be something, and then when they say they're not that thing, or they find out they're not that thing, the group ends up being like, well, a lot of people take that as like an offense. So I would rather have a character develop themselves and figure out what they are before they decide to stick a label on it and then do that, And it could also be that maybe he only likes Will. And I've seen that written a couple times. Yes, it doesn't mean that the person is gay necessarily. It could be pansexual. They feel an emotional attachment to somebody, not based on gender alone. It's like, we don't know. And I think that it's much better to write him this way, having him kind of figure himself out, especially since he's moved to a new area, doesn't know anything. Like, we have a whole nother season to play with characters and see where they go in the end.
Preach, girl. I like it.
So I like well-written characters. I don't like things being explained to my face constantly, and have a character be like, I'm gay. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, make it feel real. And you can still tell me you're gay and still be make it real. Have a good coming out, where it's built on trust. Yeah. Him and Jonathan don't have that trust anymore. Jonathan's gone off in reefer madness over here. And
because they don't. They said they don't talk.
It would be so cool if next season Jonathan just smokes one joint and then murders somebody. I wanted to go into 30s scare film territory.
And the last thing I'll bring up, the one thing that kind of bugged me, what were they doing in the house in the woods? Did they buy the house?
That was Hopper's.
Yeah, that was Hop's old cabin.
Yeah.
So they're just fixing it up?
Yeah.
Because at first I was like, hold on, where are we going? Why are we in the woods?
He lives off the grid. He's just,
Well, his trailer house got destroyed.
Are they all going to be living together?
That's a good question. I was wondering that too, actually. Are they all just gonna
are they going to college and they're not really going to college? This is just
No, they've already graduated.
Or is this Nancy and Jonathan's new love nest? What's going on?
I took it that it was for Hop and Elle, not.
But he's with Joyce, so they're living together now.
Well, look, Elle needs a place to hide out. Is the thing.
Yeah.
True. Yeah. Maybe they're all moving.
She is wanted by the U.S. government.
That. Yeah.
Now the U.S. government knows where they live because that woman dropped them off. So great off the grid.
A couple of closing questions, unless anybody has anything else to say.
No.
All right. Quickly around the room. Most likely to die in season 5.
Oh, God, I don't know. Probably a new character they introduce. That's the favorite thing to do.
Will or Steve?
Steve.
I'm going Steve also. Unfortunately, as much as I don't want him to, I think he's going to die too.
I think Will's 100% going to die. I'm pretty damn sure they're going to kill Will off.
Ultimate hero at the end.
Steve.
Yeah.
Steve.
You just said Steve was going to die.
He can still be the hero and die.
Fair.
Sacrifice. Or Dustin.
I think they're going to make it Mike. I think that's going to happen just because of how they set this up.
Because he's done nothing all
Yeah.
I want Max to come back.
Or it could be Erica. Erica could be the surprise that comes out of nowhere.
Erica? Yeah. No, Steve or Erica are going to have, the big hero moment.
Yeah.
Erica's
does Nancy end up with Jonathan? I'm saying no.
No.
I don't think so.
Maybe Jonathan will die.
They got a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Maybe all love options will die.
They're about to start ghosting each other. Well, Nancy's about to start ghosting him.
Why haven't you been home?
There's a Family Guy bit where, like, I don't know, like Peter starts smoking. That's the plot, and he just smokes, and he puts out this cigarette, and he says, like, Joe, your marriage is over. And Joe's like, well, I guess it is now.
Yeah.
That's what I'm giving to Nancy and Jonathan.
Can I just ask one quick question about Jonathan and college? I thought Jonathan was accepted to the college that he and Nancy want to go to. It's just that he said he couldn't leave his family, so that's why he was going to community college. I thought he was accepted.
Leave the weed.
Yeah, but I thought she had said that she was willing to go there with him.
I think he
I
kind
don't-
of knows
okay.
deep down.
Right there where-
that
I did
they're
not
gonna
hear that.
last.
Yeah, maybe I missed.
Yeah.
Maybe I just put that out there. Anyway, it's not Nancy's fault.
Nothing's Nancy's fault.
All right.
Nancy is a strong, powerful woman.
Independent woman who don't need
Yeah.
no man.
Yeah.
She just needs her guns. So
Final thoughts. I really enjoyed the season. Looking forward to season 5.
yes,
good
very
season.
excited. So we'll see you guys next week.
Bye, everyone.